Welcome back to Kerbal Space Program Sandbox mode. In the previous videos, in the previous episodes, this fuel factory ship has arrived in Duna space. It successfully landed on Ike after rendezvousing with a refueling ship. And then it lifted off from Ike, proceeded here to Duna, got into an orbit and began scanning for cathane deposits. And then the rover vehicle landed at Bill's position and drove, well, it landed close to him and drove the 6 or so kilometers to him. And now the lander, cathane factory, is getting set to touch down. It's ready. And you see here there's a pretty good sized cathane field, and if I zoom in at just the right angle, you see that a lot of that is right here over this trench in the Duna surface. And so that's going to be the landing spot. It's the closest deposit to where Bill is, which is over here. And so I need to do two things. Number one, I want the orbit to be at least a little bit more equatorial. It'll make landing easier. And I put a maneuver node right over here, and that will let me do this in such a way that not only can I lower the orbit on this side of the planet to a good place to begin landing from, but I can also change the orbital plane. Thusly, to get something a little bit more equatorial, but not too much so. And now, to adjust, I'll add in some retrograde so that I can bring the periapsis down on this part of the orbit. Alright, there's periapsis. Okay, turn the cathane map off. It's getting in the way. 51 kilometers. 34 kilometers. I'm going to bump the time on it forward because I really want to come down in this area here. 20 kilometers looks good. That is a good place to start a descent from. Confirming that yes, we're in that. Okay, let's plane change a bit more. Okay. That's going to be close. We're going to be able to set down in this trench. That's the idea. Alright, so we'll go ahead and schedule this burn. And we've got 116 meters per second. A fairly short burn, especially since with this one I'm going to be going ahead and using the skipper engine so that it will be able to give me a good estimate on a final deceleration burn later. Alright, let's bring up Smart ASS and get it lining up with the node. And bring up the flight stats so I can see what's going on. We can go ahead and close that. Get into position and time warp around to this burn and start the process of bringing this thing down in the cathane field for a landing so that we can get it refueled and ready to lift off and take Bill back to Kerbin. Okay, time warp time. Almost there. Coming back to normal time. Close this. activate the skipper, and let's see to it that the fuel balancer has the oxidizer and the fuel flows balanced so that nothing's going to run out of fuel. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and do this burn at about 15 seconds. We don't have a burn time estimate now because, well, the burn time estimate is a little bit screwy that way. But we'll have one next time for certain. Inclination coming down, periapsis coming down. Everything is acting just exactly the way we want it to. Looking good. With 0.2 left, that's pretty good. Okay, go ahead and let the ship go to prograde. Delete our maneuver node. Alright. Periapsis is just about kind of where I wanted it. And we're, in fact, if I set another maneuver here, and then from here, assuming I can see it at all, alright, make Duna the focus on the camera. There. That's not perfect, but it'll help. Alright, let's add in some retrograde here, because this is going to be where we will kill all remaining velocity. And we want to come down right there in that trench. Now I'm going to use this, okay, landing guidance. The only part of it I tend to use is show landing predictions. Okay, did I double? Well, it's showing. There should be a blue mark here on the surface indicating where I'm supposed to land. Well, I'm just going to have to trust my maneuvers to work, aren't I? Alright, speaking of maneuvers, we have 590 meters per second, 1 minute 27 second burn. That's with the skipper engine included in that deceleration. So we'll burn at about T-minus 45, 46 seconds. All right. Time warping around some more. Perhaps doing a burn adjustment because to allow for planetary rotation here. Yes, I'm going to have to move this burn this way a good little ways. Alright, we're coming down low here. Yeah, very low. Camera on free mode. So that things make sense to me. We're down to 1x. Alright, let's adjust our burn time. Move it forward 10 seconds at a time. Okay, that should do pretty good. Pretty good job of allowing for planetary rotation for the rest of the trip. And that will be our big deceleration burn. Alright. Which will take place shortly after we pass the sunrise. Switching from flight stats to surface information. Speaking of surface, let's get this, okay, set that up so that it'll hold a 90-degree when I want it to. Alright, KSP has just crashed, and I've had to come back in here and reset up this maneuver node. I think I've got it reasonable. And now let's time warp around and get this burn done. And then afterwards I'll go ahead and reset up my secondary burn at periapsis or thereabouts to get deceleration set up to happen to get me down into that trench. Wait a minute. Hold it here. I've gone right clean on past that node. I had an alarm set. What the hell? Oh, no alarm in list. Arg. Okay. Delete that one. Set up another one. This time, get it right. And then drop in some retrograde to bring the altitude down here. And put the periapsis right over the place where I want to come down. Turn the keyframe grid off for a moment. "17 kilometers strikes me as just a little too low. We'll deal with 33. We will set an actual alarm. And now we'll time warp around to it. And this time we'll actually hit the target. In fact, I'm going to want to adjust this burn a little bit before I make it as to when it happens. Push the periapsis forward a bit to try to allow for planetary rotation. And that's going to be just use some time, push the time forward for when the burn will happen. Thank you. Alright, that should, I think, pretty much take care of it. Getting lined up, and we'll start the burn right away. Skipper engine is enabled for this one. Oh, excuse me. Warp time ahead, and we'll burn very soon. 53 meters per second, it won't be much. can take it of it all right now. Okay. Go ahead and delete that one. Alright, let's pop another one down here at periapsis. Pretty much kill all of the horizontal velocity we'll have at that point. Let's have a look here. I want landing guidance, show landing predictions. I wish I could have it so where that was always turned on, so I didn't have to go in and toggle it every time. That looks good. Let's bump it forward a little bit to allow for rotation. Set an alarm. This will be an 820 meters per second burn, and we'll burn at T-minus 1 minute. Alright, time warping ahead. We should be kicking into normal time a little ahead of that burn because we're coming down lower into the atmosphere. Yeah, 56,000 and dropping. Plenty of power. Here comes the sunrise. We're at time warp 1x. Get down to about 35 kilometers altitude. I want to close the solar panels to prevent them from being destroyed. Let's go a little physics time warp here. Let's have a look and see how this is doing. It should serve. Back off the time warp, go back to this, turn the grid back on. Yes, we are landing in K-Thang. That's all I needed to be sure of. Marker for one of previous attempts. We should be seeing a marker for Bill's flag soon. Alright, turn that off. SAS on to hold. Bit more time warp, but not too much more. Closing solar panels and deploying landing gear. And here's our marker for Bill's flag. 97 kilometers away. How are we doing out here? Got quite a ways to go. Oh, come on. Keep it open. There's Bill's position, and here's the trench that we're aiming for, right up in here. Node in T-minus 2 minutes and 30 seconds. There, that's going to be better. Let's get back lined up on the new node position. Ignition in 50 seconds. Let's close that and bring up surface info. Looking good. Standing by to start the burn. Go away. And any second now. And here we go. It's time for the big braking push. All right. This should do it. Don't want it chasing maneuver nodes at this point. Got our landing prediction, and it's coming right along to where I want it to be. So far, so good. Check the fuel balancer, balance oxidizer, balance liquid fuel. We don't want anything running out of juice. One minute remaining in the deceleration burn. Landing site prediction is coming along very nicely. Should put us right down in here where there is kethane to be mined. And let's see, action group 4. Parachutes will now deploy when we're at the right altitude, which I believe here is about 8 kilometers above the terrain. Okay, I'm already zoomed in as far as I can be here. Landing mark is now in the trench, approaching final position. Starting to pay attention to horizontal speed here because we want to kill all of that. Cut. Alright, let's go ahead and point retrograde for the moment. Have a quick look here. Landing prediction is pretty much where I want it to be. Alright. Let's go ahead and delete the maneuver node. We don't need that in the way. Alright, turn that off. SAS to hold attitude. Let's kill some horizontal velocity. That'll have us coming down. That'll move our landing prediction a little bit, but it's acceptable. The idea now is kill the horizontal velocity. To move this retrograde marker to the center of the top of the nav ball. And thus having horizontal velocity very, very low. Cut. Burning some more from this side. Alright, switch to surface mode, execute 90 degrees. And let us thrust some more. Some major velocity killing here. Parachutes should be deploying soon. Trying to find which thruster combination is going to finish slowing down the horizontal speed. There's the parachutes at 6,000 meters. Okay, we've got our horizontal speed in millimeters per second now. Concentrating on vertical. Unlikely we're landing someplace flat. Lights on. Not that I think it's going to make much difference here. One kilometer to the surface. 900 meters. $700. 600. 500. We have full parachutes. And now just enough braking to keep our vertical speed 10 meters per second or less. Preferably a lot less. 350 meters. $300 meters. Coming up on 200 meters altitude. $150. $125. $100. $70 meters. $40. $20. $10. And touchdown. Engines off. Lights off. Ladies and gentlemen, we have successfully landed on Duna. Thrusters off. All right. Finally, a successful landing on Duna. All right, now let's deploy solar panels. Deploy the drills. This ship is now drilling Keithane. All right, turn that off, turn this off. we are now drilling Kethane. The next phase of this mission will be Bill Kerbin driving his rover here. And when he gets here, he will climb aboard this ship, which by then will have a full tank of Kethane. It will have refueled itself completely, and he will take off and go home to Kerbin. Thanks for watching. Take it easy. I'm out of here.